Like we care. Take them out. Wait, we didn't crit. Maybe I should have just S1'd. Nah. Wait, you countered? Oh, miss? Oh, no. Hey guys, how's it going? So, Epic 7 just released this really cool website today called epic7.gg on Stove. And so if you've ever played a game like League of Legends, you might know about a website called op.gg, where essentially people are able to look through all of their stats, look through their previous matches, look who was in their matches, see kills, deaths, all that stuff. It just tracks a lot of useful information, essentially. And so they made this for Epic 7. So is this a really good tool that's great for the game, or is this a huge problem? So let's talk about a bunch of things related to this. So let me just go to my own profile right here. So some important things to note is that it updates every day at 9 UTC, whenever that is. I'm American, so I only know 3 time zones, or, well, I think there's technically 4, but let's ignore that. So essentially, it shows Valorous season, shows all my wins and losses and stuff like that, how much I use a bunch of my characters, a bunch of really useful stuff. If you're logged into the actual thing and you look at your own profile, you can also look at this, which will show all of your pick rates, win rates of the characters, etc. Really useful stuff, honestly. But here's a few things about it. So let's say I look at this game that I lost right here. You might notice a few things that are very, very important. First of all, it says what artifacts that I have. That's kind of a big deal. And it also shows me on the combat readiness bar compared to my opponent. So this means, let's say you queue into somebody and you instantly search their name up on this website. That means you can look through their history for these characters and you can see what artifact that they're actually on. That's really big before a match starts. And you might say, well, that's so sweaty, I'm not going to do that. Well, you know, a lot of players are going to do that, right? So that's kind of a huge deal that you're able to search that up. You can also see what sets they have. You can see if they have something like immunity on them, possibly. That's a really big deal too. And being able to see the combat readiness bar compared, that means that you might be able to see someone pick, let's say they pick Payra, and their Payra gets outsped by someone's character of another type. Well, then you know it's really fast. Or let's say you know the speed of one of these other players. Well, then if you know they're faster or slower than that, that actually helps you too, especially when you're Emperor Legend at the high end and a lot of people know each other. That's kind of an enormous problem, and this website is just showing all this information. There's no possible way to opt in or out of this website. It's just all out there, everybody's data. You can see so much information about them. You can see their most picked units right here, so you could possibly choose to pre-ban their characters based off of what they use, which could be seen as a big issue as well. Or one-trick players, that could be a really big problem. Or cleavers, possibly too. Players that rely on really specific stuff might have issues. So that's kind of a big problem with this site. So if I decide to click on somebody else's profile, I'm going to click on Mr. Weak Man here, Mr. Lakari. So I'm not able to click on his Heroes tab right there, but I still am able to see all of this stuff. So I can be like, okay, he's on counter set. That's a big deal, knowing somebody's on counter set, right? Counter pen, this is his artifact. This is all a really big deal. This is all very, very important. And even though I think this is an awesome website, a super useful tool for everybody, like, thank God that Smallgate's starting to make some like really useful resources for people. At the same time, you have to worry a little bit about this, because giving so much information to people, you already know there's a lot of people actually at the really high end that will do things such as they'll make spreadsheets of people's gear and units and stuff like that. They'll spread it around, everyone kind of adds to the spreadsheet, and they have all this data there. So in a way, you could almost say that this levels the playing field somewhat, but I feel as though this might be overstepping slightly. Possibly near the end of the season or something, maybe they should hide the artifacts, maybe they should hide the CR bar, maybe they should hide the sets or something along those lines. But I mean, during the preseason, I think it's totally fine to have all this stuff, and it's actually really cool. But I just do see that there could be some issues with the competitive integrity of this tool. Now, I really, really like it overall, and I'm going to probably make a whole video going over my previous season, all my characters' win rates, loss rates, all that kind of stuff. I think it's going to be really awesome. But you have to think of the ramifications of this. Now, here's some things you could do if you really don't like the system and you want to go off the grid. One thing is you could name yourself something in another language, like Thai or something. I've seen some people with names like that. I'm not sure if Arabic works as well, but I'm sure a lot of people would have trouble typing some of those names in. Another thing you could do, you could make your name like a barcode, which a lot of people used to do in League of Legends, where you go L-I-L-L-I-I-L-L, and basically you just spam those letters, and they look almost the same, so it's really hard for someone to actually find out what your name is, right? You just try and mix them up a little bit, so that can be really good too, but I hope people aren't too hung up on it though, because I've seen some people raising some very serious concerns about it, and I totally understand. It could be seen as a very big breach of privacy, essentially. I know that there is the Fribbles Hero Library, where every time somebody uses their Fribbles system to build their characters, that library will actually update with certain units, but they actually specifically do things like they modify the speed totals, some of the stat totals, they don't say people's names, etc., to try and hide that kind of information so people can't just know too much about people. But this website doesn't hide anything, really. I mean, sure, it hides your actual stats. Like, if I look at this, I don't see the actual exact stats, but I do see useful things like, oh, okay, well, he has these kinds of speeds. Let's say you know the speed of the Mediator Quirk, then you know approximately how fast this is before you even fight the person, right? Just when you're in the pick and ban phase, even. You get to know the sets. You're like, okay, well, he doesn't have immunity on these, so I could pick these units, or I could cleave like this, etc. And I think that's a really huge deal. So I'm not sure if this tool is going to continually be the same way it is right now. Maybe they're going to modify it if they see enough people that are upset at it. I've seen some people saying that they might consider even quitting the game over it, which I think personally is a bit of an overreaction, but I understand where they're coming from, especially when you one-trick certain units or you like to use certain fun characters. If your opponent's just going to target ban you every game, then that really sucks. Being able to just look right here and instantly see their most picked is such a huge deal too, especially when it comes to crunch time during the end of the season. So I think these are really valid issues with this system, even though it's so amazing. It's such a great idea. Maybe they just have to modify a little bit in some way, or people can choose to hide specific stuff. Anyways, I just wanted to talk about this awesome website and the possible problems that it might bring to the game. And one final thing I want to say is, it does let you look through players and see where there's possible win trading or other things like that as well, which some people have been doing. I'm not a huge fan of that kind of stuff, and it does make it pretty obvious when you see people like purposely inting into each other over and over. So there is a little bit of that when you look at people's history, which is a little not great, but it does make it so I guess people can find out a little bit easier, I suppose, if Smilegate actually does anything with that. But anyways, that's about it for this. I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to leave a like or subscribe to the channel, and I hope to see you next time.